Trying to see if I can be out here capturing a few images before um, it gets completely finished. Getting rid of the port at center median. I did not expect them to be working today. There's definitely a different guy driving the Hungry Hippo today. During the building of this bridge, I found out that the original center of the flag, the original is supposed to be two slaves, two colored men, two Creoles. The original copy of it. This is, I'm assuming it would be possibly before the place got the name British Honduras. It might be like around maybe the 16 or 7 late 1600s, early 1700s, or maybe closer to the end of 1700s. So the original would have two colored or Creole men on there. So also doing some more research about piracy and stuff. I was just doing fact checking and research, being a pirate and living on a ship. One of the things that came across my mind and came to my attention was, how do they survive an extended amount of time on a ship carrying water? So pirates were pretty genius. The next thing I never thought about, or maybe it's because I was exhausted and tired and didn't have any more energy to put into it, but they also claimed that they were illiterate, or that they didn't know how to read. We gotta this is one of the things that I love. One of my avid followers from the US asked why they didn't build or create something that would allow people to traverse while it was under construction. Either maybe having like a little ferry, little boat or something to carry people to and fro, or why didn't they put up a temporary bridge? See, because even though the bridge is still under construction, people are still using it. And I guess when you build and you do these type of projects, you have to factor in those kind of things to basically be open-minded and friendly to the needs of the citizens of that specific area and community. You gotta make it easy for those that don't have access to a grand amount of resources. Hungry Hippo is doing its thing. Okay, so back to the pirates and life on a ship. They were genius, they were clever, they were brilliant. So um, to preserve water, if you just have water in bins for a long period of time, it will become contaminated and there will be bacteria or toxin in there that the human body will not be able to process. They're still in the Belizean spirit. Well, it shouldn't just be for a day, right? Or a month. It should be all year round to celebrate. And it also shows that we did have like eight or eight, well, let's say between eight, nine to about seven or six flags prior to this one. This flag right here. Um, also was known to have the area, the territory was known to be flying a pirate flag as well. I think that was the very first flag that was adapted to the region or the territory. So back to them life on a ship, um, they had to come up with clever ways to preserve water for the trip. Um, some of the fun and interesting fact was that water became more valuable than the booties and treasures that they would gain from their conquests and their adventures. He has skills. He rode his bike right next to that truck. So to avoid being mutiny, because that was another issue too. A lot of mutiny and revolts on the ships and stuff were based on the fact that the preservation of water um, and the preservation of life. People were threatened by the fact that if they didn't have enough water to sustain life, they would revolt against and create mutiny or would revolt against the captain. So they had to come up with clever ways. During their voyage at sea and their time at sea, they would clean their ships and stuff and the sails and stuff during wet season or during the time when they could figure and read the skies and figure that it was going to rain. They would have their masts set up in a way that they would capture and harvest the water. But harvesting the rainwater or doing rainwater collection was genius and brilliant. But to keep it as well to where you would keep the pH level for human consumption, that was another trick and skill that they had to master and figure out. And the pirates were the first one. Most of the information stated that the pirates were the first to figure that out. So they stored their water in empty rum barrels and empty wine barrels, and the barrels may like contain other things prior. They might not have just used it for the consumption and storage of wine, whiskey, or rum. So what they did, they would ignite fires inside those barrels and just create a charcoal inside the barrels, and the charcoal was a way to preserve the water and slow down the bacteria from taking over. They also made sure to store their water and the ships in the most safe and secure and coolest part of the ship as well. Another genius thing that they did was once they had the water inside those barrels that was charred and the fire inside it was contained and controlled, it was done so that they would not damage the structure of the barrel, so it could still hold water as well. They also stated that they would put some sort of like tar on something to help as well. And once they filled it up with the water, they would put silver in there. And they claimed that the silver from Spain were better at preserving and preventing bacteria from taking over. That was just, a little fun and interesting thing to say. But, back then, the information and the way how things were being done, It was still in its infancy phase, so they were learning and figuring out as they went along. They also were known to do desalination as well, where they would take salt water and turn it into drinkable water, but the process was long and tedious, and to not cause the ship to erupt into a major fire, they would have to man it 24 hours, so they would take shifts, and basically it would take, I'd say, maybe 2 hours to get a mouthful of water. And the waves, they were genius at figuring it out, and the safest way they would do it when the ocean was calm as well. So it was just life as a pirate, and like I stated once before, that water was the most valuable asset to them as well. Another way for them to preserve the water, they would either pour rum or whiskey inside the barrels as well. Yeah, they would get intoxicated, but it was another genius way on how to preserve and make sure to provide longevity to the life, because water, once it becomes stagnant, algae and bacteria would dominate and take over and ruin it, and if you consume it, it could cause illness, even death. So this is the reason why water was to store and keep water on board was critical. They even stated, some information stated, that it was far more valuable. The knowledge of it and preservation and preserving of water was far more valuable and important than silver and gold and the bounty and treasures they would get during their raids. Someone was harvesting worms for fishing. So modern day distillation, the process of making rum, whiskey, and possibly beer as well. So the creation of rum, or the modern day rum distillation system, was mastered and brought and homed in the new world by pirates and piracy on the ships. So like I said, the water for distillation of the salt water, um, they used copper pots and copper pipes. They found out that copper pots and copper pipes did not rust, so that was a genius move on their behalf. Actually, they also tried other metals as well. They would put lead, but then lead, they later on found out that lead would poison the water and stuff and cause them to die. But they also became the most skillful pirates, knew that copper piping and copper pots were the most important and valuable for the preservation of water and water distillation, which is taking salt water and turning it into drinkable water. This process gave birth to the modern distillation of alcohol in the New World. I guess because the process of purifying their water using fire and flame, um, they mastered the process of making rum and alcohol as well, and that was what gave birth to all the New World and different nations and countries in the New World that does the process of alcohol making. So they were genius, they were brilliant, they were wise, they were extremely intelligent. So like they gave us the process of making alcohol, they gave us the process of purifying water, horseback riding up the mighty Macal River. That's awesome right there. Capture that right there. It's a nice shot right there. So it might be kind of safe to say that the pirates were the first moonshiners in the New World. So they gave us moonshining. I mean the process of distilling, which is using the copper. How to preserve water. They also use like charcoal. They would use their shirts and different types of fabric. They would wash and clean them because they also found out that if they didn't wash and clean the sails and stuff and shirt and different materials that they were using to purify the bacteria and germs from that would just get transmitted or transferred into the water as well. So it took some skill to make sure they could have fresh drinking water on board. What I should have done, and I wasn't smart enough and wise enough to and witty enough to think about whether they use the salt after they did desalination of the salt water, um, if they were able to use the salt that was left behind. Like I said, that process was slow and tedious. It took roughly about 2 hours to basically get a mouthful of water, palatable drinking water from that process, meaning that they would have to do it on a much grander scale, but they were using copper pipes and stuff that was not as huge. But well, I would have to try to do more research to figure out how large the pipes were. These pipes that I'm looking at and doing my calculation and making my prediction is based on like 1 inch or less size. They can wipe down the outside exterior of the tank, interior, all parts that come in contact with the concrete. They can use bonyle mixed with kerosene and a little bit of diesel. Well, more diesel than kerosene, um, and some bonyle. They don't want to use bonyle and can use brand new engine oil. And that's one way to keep the concrete off your equipment. It's another day, market day, bazaar day. Oops, sorry, I moved a little too aggressive there. We do work for like, shares, and comments. So like a clever way to keep your equipment super duper clean is to douse it with diesel. Let's say maybe if you're using engine oil or bonyle, I normally use old engine oil, what we call burnt oil. Um, say you use a gallon of that, and you use a half gallon of diesel, and then a quarter or 3/8 gallon of kerosene, and you mix the three together, and you can use that to keep the concrete off your equipment. So it was a great, I guess when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, everything just aligns and fall into perspective and place. Because I came down here under the impression I would be down here by myself, have the place to myself, but then I stumble upon the guys working today. Alright, so going back for some more mix. I was under the impression that they were done for today. Guess they're getting ready to load up again. Maybe they haven't fully poured the section on the bridge that they were trying to pour. I just watched them clean it up, so I was under the impression that they were finito, finished, done for the day. I guess they are finished because they're making their way back to their sub station. I was just trying to capture materials getting loaded into the back of the mixer. Look like something is happening. It look like the machine also does selection as well, where it looked like it picks out certain types of materials to be loaded into the tank, and then others that don't fit the standards get rejected, seems like, because there's a small portion, rejected portion, just getting dispensed at the bottom. Disperse, dispense, I think dispense is the best word, keyword. Rejected. Yes, I could go ask for information, but getting information, just basic information from them is like pulling tooth. They clam down. They clam down like a a vice gripper or like a clam. And then they're unwilling to talk to you, and then the next thing they do tend to do, well, I'm let's say me, then let put myself in there, me in particular, then they revert to not speaking Creole or English, or let's say Creole. They would go speak Spanish only. Then I go, tú hablas español, puro español, and then they change the whole thing once I start speaking to them in Spanish. But they still clam up there, not willing to share the information. So like, I don't know if I should just try and then go over and try to like chat with them to see if they would tell me where this mix is going or what is it for. I can try, but just trying to capture before images, get a few images just before the bridge is actually finished and complete. Like they're gonna do a mix because they're grabbing cement and getting ready to add a couple bags of cement. They're adding it to the Hungry Hippo. I don't know the scientific name of this plant, but it's the traditional and original fonto, what the Belizean Creoles and Mestizo like to say, that consume a specific type of item. This is the original fonto, and it also bears fruit as well. It's pretty similar to what you would call the closest thing to a potato. It's very nutritious and healthy, and the leaves and stuff are also known to cure cancer as well. So it's also a herb, a medicinal plant as well. But you can use it as rolling papers to roll up your tobacco and your cigars. But this big old leaf right here, and it also looks like a heart as well. Fun and interesting fact, Belize, the first like 5 or 6 flags of Belize, one of them was definitely black and white for, you know, piracy. Then the other ones had like the United Kingdom colors and stuff on it with other things on there. There were several different patterns. I didn't plan on mentioning that today. I was just thought it was interesting and a fun fact and great information to provide while I wait and see when the hungry hippo make a move to take the pure bags of concrete and mix it. That's another thing that's different here. When you're purchasing concrete, it's not a ready mix. It's just pure cement that you have to mix with sand or gravel. So it can be used in your garden to help with the consumption of wastewater. It's a herb, as in a herb for medicine to help the body heal and clean itself. It's also a rolling paper, and it also gives food. Yes, hungry hippo is in action. Woo! Still in the spirit. Oh no! I hope I captured. It's just a bunch of birds just flew by. Like when you're supposed to be at a specific location, everything just falls into place, man. Like I said, I was under the impression that I would have the place to myself. I thought maybe they just was planning or scheduled to work Monday to Friday, but they ended up working and look like they're gonna work on the weekend. I don't know if they're gonna work all the way through, but they're definitely working today, and today is a Saturday. So the hungry hippo is full up. I'm just trying to capture images of it right before the completion of the bridge. If I'm not mistaken, when you see these types of flowers on your ranch, if it's the right one, they do attract butterflies. And it would be the monarch butterflies too. And this is the Earl Haylock Bridge, better known as the Low Line. It used to be known as the Wooden Bridge, but it's not going to be known as that anymore. I wonder if that would stick though. Look like this sand is extracted from the Mountain Pine Ridge area. That's another great place for you guys to go and explore. There's some great resorts up there. There's some nice, a few resorts that have some spectacular and amazing bird and hiking trails. Highly recommend. The one at the very end, that would be like gravel. That they would basically as known as white lime that they crushed up, and they're using it in the concrete mix. When you add sand and gravel and cement together, it makes it a lot more durable and stronger because the pebbles interlock with each other. Yes, they're finished working on the bridge for the time being. They could at least leave it open till midday. Guess maybe they did that because they don't want motorized vehicles to be going up on there. Oh man, this is awesome. The kids are cleaning up the riverbank. Still in excitement, jovial spirit. But yeah, they're cleaning up the riverbank. Give a hoot, don't pollute. Help beautify Belize. Let's put trash in its rightful place. Something different is happening over there. Some sauce needs to be added to that because they're also doing San Ignacio section as well. When you come down to the rivers, parks, and different place for recreational purpose, please take your trash with you when you leave. Please bring extra bags and bag it up and take it. It's amazing. A few other citizens that was non-group, non-NGO and stuff was talking about coming down and clean, and then to see them out here cleaning it up, it's amazing. It's awesome. It's sad to say this, but I have to because it's been years of this happening. When I lived in Costa Rica, there was a road that I lived on, and it was filthy. I mean, they littered like crazy, and I was not working, and I decided to pick up trash and clean up because that road was a major road that emptied right into the Caribbean Sea. So I started picking up trash there. The first day, I had to maybe fill up like two 5-gallon bags, the large trash bin here, two 5-gallon bags of trash the first day. The second day, maybe one of those 5-gallon bags. The third day, one of those 5-gallon bags, but it wasn't really full. The fourth day, I didn't need a 5-gallon bag anymore. At the end of the week, it was just a couple of the largest plastic bags that we have here in Belize that they give you to carry out your groceries. The largest, maybe two of those. The last 2 days, two or three of those. Coming Saturday, one of those. Then the citizens start watching, especially the kids, and they would ask what I was doing and why. And when they found out why I was picking it up and explained to them in Spanish, and some that did speak Creole and English, and explained to them why, because most of those communities that live on the coast rely on the water, the sea, the rivers for survival. So like animals think it's food, it's destroying, the natural resources and making it hard for the fish and stuff that we rely on to make it to the right full size. They start bringing out trash bin. The kids start bringing out trash bin. They got their parents involved, putting out trash bin throughout the road and along the road. As I progressed, the trash got smaller and smaller. It got to a point where I didn't have to pick up within like less than a month, 4 weeks. And I'm stretching it, I'm maxing it out at 4 weeks. Sometimes I would see kids walking home with their parents, and their parents would throw trash on the ground, and they would tell them no, and then they would stop and pick it up and then explain. The next time their parents did it, they would enforce and scold their parents and maybe make them feel embarrassed to the umpteenth degree where the parent would pick it up. Here in Belize, it's the reverse. They throw more on the ground when they see people are cleaning up. Like, they don't have no civic pride. I don't mean to put my fellow citizens on blast, but when you move around, there's trash everywhere. Some of the tour guides here, I see them moving around when they take tourists to certain areas. I even reach out to them and be like, yo, you guys are relying on the natural resources and beauty of the place to come out and pick up trash. Organize the different groups that you guys, tour guide group, and come out and help clean. Do something to help educate. Get in schools and help educate. Educate fellow parents and adults your the same age. Nothing gets done. I almost missed it. I waited quite a while for this, and I missed when the hungry hippo got first engaged. But at least I got capture a section of it. That's some rough work right there. inhaling all that dust, but it looks like they have something protecting their nostril for a smidge. That's one of the reasons why I don't like doing concrete, because they say the dust from it, when it gets in your lungs, it crystallizes to certain parts of the thing inside your lungs. This is one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of concrete work. I do know how to do it, but I don't like it because of that reason. And then another reason too, it splash and get on my locks, and sometimes 2 3 months after, then I find it, even though I do like 2 days of cleaning and meticulously cleaning it, I still find concrete in there like 2 3 months later where I would miss it. But that's the reason why I don't like it. And then too, it makes the palm of your hand get really hard or rough like sandpaper too. Well, someone told me a little trick to prevent that from happening. You just have to use your urine and pee on your hand and leave your hand covered in the urine for overnight. Do that like a couple times and it will keep your hand tender. You won't get blister, and it just toughen up the skin. And do it like three times, and then you don't ever have to do it again, and it has to be all night long. So Boys and Scout, it's out here doing the cleanup. So the Boys and Girl Scout are doing San Ignacio and Santa Elena. Remember, please don't pollute. Like I said, when I was in Costa Rica doing it, a month after that, we didn't have to. Then they start placing trash bins in specific locations throughout that major road. Then eventually I think citizens in that area start picking up and emptying out the bins. And eventually the village council got involved, and then they took over making sure the bins were not being damaged, and they would come in and empty them out. So many different people have asked me, why is it so hard to get people here in the great nation of Belize to stop littering? And that's the $1 million question right there. Maybe we got to do more education and something like that. Right, they got it filled up. All the bags are off the Hungry Hippo mouth. I guess she's going down. See, there you go. Once you do what you're supposed to do, I capture the end of it and the dismount as well. Thanks for the love, life, and universe, and frequency and vibration. So the sleeping sauropod's down and injured. Hopefully they are doing whatever they can to fix the boom and get the sleeping sauropod back up and running well for their next project. Oh wow, they're reloading the Hungry Hippo over there again. If getting information wasn't so difficult, I would go in and then just try to ask them how much material do they need to add to the mix, which is gravel, sand, and cement. Big up and shout out to the Boys and Girls Scout for cleaning up the riverbank on the Macal River Valley Belt here in the twin tongue of San Ignacio and Santa Elena. They're doing both sides. I will try. Just waiting for them to get started. think it's 80 kilo per bag. Same thing. I knew I wouldn't be able to get the information. I tried. I was very optimistic and hopeful and excited that it would work out, but no, they did not. They did the same thing. You go ask this one, and then this one say the driver of the truck said to go ask the other guy under the shed, and the guy under the shed go ask the driver. So let's do a rough guesstimation. The bucket is about maybe 2 feet deep. It's about maybe 6 feet long. Each bag is about maybe 3 feet long by maybe 18 inches wide, and they're roughly about maybe 3 feet tall, maybe 5 per stack. And you're doing that twice, about 20, let's say about 30 to 40 bags. You're doing that twice, so maybe roughly about 80 bags. That's one of the beauty about maybe being a business owner in the construction field. You can kind of do a ballpark guesstimation of what type of how many bags of cement you might need, and you got to figure out how much water, and that hopper that they used to hopper to load that might have been like maybe 3/4 of the metal hopper to fill up with sand and gravel to get that. I'm saying they might use maybe 40% to 30% sand to roughly about, let's say about 70 to about 80, 85, 90% gravel. Because the equipment is on the right, I'm just gonna move through here. So Belize just celebrated its 44th birthday, 44th Independence Day, and we had 2 centuries, so that's 200 years and 27, almost 3 decades since the Battle of St. George's Key. They weed whipped the riverbank today, and like I said, boys and girls scout out picking up trash. Let's see if where did they leave the bags. Oh. So now the low-line wooden bridge officially is fading into memory. It's just going to become a distant memory now, saying within the next couple of days, look like they will have it all knocked out. Trying to capture the flag and the wet concrete in one shot. Perfect. Give a hoot. Don't pollute, let beautify Belize. And in the same process, do not pollute your mind. Education is the key. Yes, we know it's authorized and it's restricted, but not everyone can afford it. The shortcut is this is a shortcut for a reason. A lot of citizens that are not in the same economical bracket as you have to be mindful of that. This helps to alleviate some of the stress and tension on the citizens. So just be mindful, open-minded to their needs. So I did a ballpark calculation, about roughly 80 to about 100 bags of cement is required for the cement mixer, the truck cement mixer. I don't even know what you call that type of equipment you call that. Um, let's say roughly about 3/4 load of truck with one of those dump truck mixed with, let's say, 30 to 40% sand and maybe 70 to 80% gravel. Why I do more gravel? Because the more gravel you add to the mix, it becomes like a rock, like you're making a rock out of concrete, because they interlock with each other. That's the future right there. And it's bazaar slash market day today as well. As I saw you guys had a float in the parade. It's Benqueviejo Bong. That's the bus heading to Benqueviejo del Carmen, leaving San Ignacio town.